Hi all, welcome to part 2 of my life update, April 2016 edition. In this video, I'll be talking about school stuff and then work and then life in general. From this and a few of the following slides, you'll be able to tell that I graduated with a science degree. I calculated how many months I've been alive and compared it to how many months I've been in school. So I've been alive for 272 months according to my calculations. Here's a bit of a breakdown. From 93 to 97, there was no school, but let's face it, there wasn't much anything else because I was a toddler. In the year of 1997 to 1998, I was in preschool, which was only 8 months. And then once I hit real school, it got a bit more complicated, so I decided to chart it. Here is elementary school from 1998 to 2005, encompassing kindergarten to grade 5. You can see the total number of months in school and then the total summer months outside of school. I did the same thing for junior high from 2005 to 2008, grade 7s to 9, total months in school, and then total summer months. And it continues into high school, 2008 to 2011. Finally, we get to my time in university, and it gets a little bit more complicated. I started in January 2012, and I'll graduate April 2016. The total months in school relate to my semesters. From these charts, we have to double check the time in school versus time not in school. So total school equals 180 months. No school equals 92 months because of all my summer breaks and my time as a toddler. So total school plus no school equals 272 months, which matches my estimation at the beginning. Here is the time distribution of my time in school versus not in school for preschool, elementary, junior high, high school, university. And as you can see, it is a lot of time in school. I simplified this down into just in school and not in school, and you can see that 66% of my life, so over 2/3, have been in school, and 34%, about 1/3 of my life, has not been in school. This bar graph shows that my knowledge has increased exponentially in the number of years I've been in school. And with 66% of my life being allocated to time in school, the question remains, what do I do now? This brings us to work, and I'll just start with the summer. In May, I'll begin work at the University of Alberta, partially in the greenhouse gas lab and partially in preparation for a 7-week stint of field work up north. And this is the location, but where exactly is this, you may ask? I will be working at Lake Hazen, which is 81 degrees north in Kitinerpak National Park, Ellesmere Island, Nunavut. Ellesmere Island is the northernmost island in the world, and 81 degrees north is further north than the magnetic North Pole, meaning that if I brought a compass up there, it would just spin in circles. To show you exactly where this is, I have a map of Canada, and it will just keep getting narrower and narrower until I show you exactly where I'm going. Within Canada, we have the territory of Nunavut. And then within Nunavut, we have Ellesmere Island, which again is the most northerly island in the world. Then within the island, we have the National Preserved Park. Finally, this arrow indicates the lake that I'll be working at. To get there, we have to fly from Edmonton to Ottawa. Then we travel from Ottawa to the capital of Nunavut. From there, we go up to Resolute. Resolute up to Lake Hazen is chartered by one of those tiny passenger planes. The history of the area is quite fascinating. There were Paleo-Eskimos and in 2 terms, but they both left. And then there was the Dorset culture, which is exemplified by a lot of archaeology. And then the Thule people, who gave rise to modern Inuits, also resided there for a period of time. But they again left, probably because of the harsh Arctic winters, and then they spread across the Arctic Circle and gave rise to the cultures we see today. Then European explorations occurred throughout the late 1800s, early 1900s. Then this area was used as national defense for the Canadian and American militaries. And then finally, the crazy scientists that have been there since 1970, basically the only people that go up there for long periods of time now. This is a picture of the base camp. There's hardly anything there. There's a research station on the left with the orange on the building, and then there's the Parks Canada building, 2 sleepers on the right, a kitchen, and in the Parks Canada building, I believe there's also a library. Despite the sleepers, we do not sleep in those. We actually sleep in tents provided by the Canadian military. So yes, I will be camping for almost 2 months. What kind of species am I expecting to see there? Well, a lot of Arctic wolves to begin with. I'll also be seeing herds of muskox potentially, as well as rock ptarmigans and other Arctic birds. There are some rare species that I probably won't see, but I'm still hoping to see, so I included them, including Peary caribou and polar bears, except polar bears, if they come to camp, which is 30 kilometers in from the ocean, they'll probably be very hungry. What exactly will I be doing in the field? Well, I will be a research assistant to a U of A PhD candidate named Kira. Specifically, we are looking at the biogeochemistry in the high Arctic. Now, biogeochemistry is exactly what it sounds like. It looks at the biosphere, the geosphere, and the chemistry of the area and how they all interact. Specifically, we'll be looking at the mercury content of melting glaciers and how this actually affects Lake Hazen, as lots of people use local fishing as sustenance. In addition, we'll be monitoring the biogeochemistry of melting permafrost, so this includes carbons and mercuries as well. Who will be up there? Well, from U of A, it'll be Kira, the PhD candidate I'm helping, a master's candidate, and myself. There will also be a small group of researchers from the University of Waterloo and the University of Toronto, Mississauga that coordinate their research with the University of Alberta students. Then about halfway through the 2 months, Kira's supervisor Vince and an Environment Canada technician will be coming by. Finally, any Parks Canada staff and tourists that come up will stay in those sleepers that I mentioned before, but this is extremely rare. Hardly anyone commissions a plane to go hike in an Arctic desert. Yeah. Here are a few other job details. The degree of isolation isn't as bad as it was in Peru. While there's no cell service or internet, there is a satellite phone that will work, and so I get to phone home once, maybe twice a week for a short period of time. The power up there is completely reliant on solar energy. Because we're so far north, it is 24 hours daylight, and they have actually a surplus of power, which is great for charging my camera. While the food is fairly basic, it can get pretty fancy apparently. So we'll make our own bread, and they bring things like powdered milk and stuff so that we can do baking and cooking. Lots of rice and pasta. And then job funding. So how am I getting paid? I had to apply for a Natural Sciences and Engineering Research Council scholarship, and I got it, yay! And then there'll be supplementations from the lab itself. In August, I will be back at the University of Alberta in the greenhouse gas lab, analyzing the mercury samples that we got from our field work in June to August. Now we'll go into long-term work. There is a possible extension of work with Kira for the fall, working in the greenhouse gas lab, but this is completely dependent on funding, number one, and also number two, how much work needs to be done. If this falls through, or even after this, I'll just have to consider positions as they come up. Biological science jobs in the environmental sciences are very hard to come by and very competitive, and they're also usually temporary. So I'll probably have to find work in other fields, but that's okay. and just keep holding out for the jobs I want. Now on to other life stuff. So for relationships, I've been with Helen for quite a while, and here's us looking all cute at a hockey game. Nauseatingly cute. The second thing is post-school learning. So while I'm not in school, I cannot quit learning. I think I'll go stir crazy. I want to learn new languages, particularly French, instruments, and also try to get into shape because I've been putting it off for 4.5 years, or my whole life. And then I will eventually have to move out. And then the termination of school does result in a lot of major spending, so I'll have to pay off my student loans, get vehicles, start paying rent, doing all these things that I am so looking forward to. Okay, well that's it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this update. And of course, if there's any questions about anything, let me know and I'll be happy to answer things or clarify things.